Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Benjamin Poole, one of the head traders at Verified Investing. I'm going to go over some RSI price action with you in a couple hydrogen stocks. The first stock I'm going to go over is Bloom Energy. As you have probably noticed, it is up on the day about 7%. It's actually showing signs of resiliency, meaning that it could potentially go higher tomorrow as well. It is currently trading at about $143. And so I'm going to give you an idea of where I'm looking to trade this tomorrow. The next one is Plug Power. So another hydrogen cell player is into a lot of support. And so we could potentially go long on PLUG. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the charts. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing, show you what the chart setup is telling me, and give you an opportunity to take advantage of it going into tomorrow's session. So the first stock I'm going to go over is Bloom Energy. So BE, look at the price action. The first thing I want to do is I want to go over to logarithmic. So if you guys are trading on TradingView, there's a little button on the right-hand side, the lower end. It has an A, which is an auto fits data, and then an L, so logarithmic. So I'm going to turn on logarithmic. This gives you a better example of the volatility in the potential markets or the particular chart in this case, based on what previous price action was. If you turn off logarithmic, look at what happens. It looks like there's just a huge, float up and then this surge to the upside. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of volatility. Turn on logarithmic charts. And again, I guess there's not a ton of volatility until you go back till the 24th of December, basically the beginning part of the year, where you see this volatility in the price action of BE. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn off logarithmic, show you what it looks like without that on there. And then I'm going to show you where price action is currently trading. So it's currently trading at about $143. This is an overextended chart. What I like to do is not only look at the extension of the chart, but what the RSI is doing. So that's the relative strength index. So as you can see, with price action, you're also getting volatility in BE. When you're looking at using the relative strength index or the RSI, I also like to look at the volatility. Without a lack of volatility, the RSI doesn't play out very well. And what I'm seeing is a negative divergence on the RSI. So when I look at a chart and I see a chart that's creating higher highs, whereas the peaks of the RSI continue to make lower highs, that is giving you an idea that there is a little bit of divergence in the charts. And what that means is there are less buyers who are stepping up to continually push the price of BE up. So there's divergences there. And now that you're at double top, we're going to have to look for additional resistance levels. So even though we are creating negative RSI divergence, I also want to make sure that we're into some resistance. We have to stack our factors to give us the best probable outcome. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take this high pivot point here, take a trend line. And again, this is TradingView. Take this high pivot and extend it to this high pivot, which was the previous all-time high. And look at where we're at now. We already got a rejection off of this trend line. Now, as price action gets back above there or right into that downsloping trend line, upsloping trend line, price is actually likely to get rejected again. Now, because we're at $143, $144, price can continue a little bit higher, up to $150. And the reason I say it could go up to $150 is you think about where sellers are likely sitting on a stock like BE. Yes, it's up massively, but on a psychological basis, in order to sell, you want that $150 whole round number. And that's where you're likely to put your exit price. And so that could drive the price all the way up to $150. As soon as that $150 level hits, there should be a big selling pressure and drives this price down. So tomorrow, going into the morning session, closer to the afternoon, I'm looking for price action, get up to that $150, could stop at about $149. But after that, you should see a pretty significant sell-off, probably looking for about a 3, 4, maybe even a 5% sell-off, if not more. What I'm looking at is now we're going to switch to the daily time frame or the intraday. So we're going to go to the 1 minute chart. What I'm looking for a potential reversal is the RSI to head lower, and we need to start taking out some lower peaks. So what does that mean? If we look at the price action of BE today, we have RSI that's gotten down to the 30. And if you don't know anything about the RSI, it's a momentum indicator. It gives you an idea of where the momentum is heading. So at this point, the RSI at 30 indicates that it's a significant selling pressure. Now, in order for that to continue, you need to take out some low pivots. So basically some support levels that need to be taken out in order for the selling pressure to continue. Right here at 11 o'clock was the lowest point on BE. And look what happened. The RSI headed down to the 30, indicating that it's oversold and never took out any low pivots. And so now this gives way for the buyers to push the stock back up. And that's what's currently happening. So tomorrow, if we get into a short at about $150, what we're going to do is we're going to look for a low pivot point to get taken out with the RSI at 30. And then what you'll see is the sellers can come out into droves and really drive this price down. So look for a potential upside of $150 and then a potential downside of back to $140, if not lower, if we can get some low pivot points taken out. The next stock I'm going to go over is Plug Power. Look at the price action of Plug Power versus BE. So BE is at the all-time highs. And now if we zoom out in Plug Power PLUG, look at where it's at. It's at the low end of the chart. So Plug Power is looking like a long position. BE is for me, it's a short opportunity. These are both hydrogen plays. What are we waiting for on Plug Power before we enter a trade? So with BE, I was looking for an upsloping trend line for price action to meet resistance. On the downside, I'm looking for support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lower end of this trend line, take this low pivot and extend it through this trend line or this low pivot and create this upsloping trend line. So that could be one stopping point that Plug Power can get down to, which will be significant support. The other thing we got to do is look at, okay, well, where in the chart is there like a potential gap? Well, right here at $2.32, you have a pretty significant gap. This could mean that if price action gets into $2.33, this is a great buying opportunity, especially how beaten up Plug Power is. Now, if we go to the RSI, again, RSI is a momentum indicator. On a weaker stock like this, when price action or the RSI gets below 50 and fails to get back above it, this indicates that there's still selling pressure in Plug Power. And so this could actually be the catalyst that it needs to push PLUG down to $2.33. That is my buy level. If it continues even lower than that, you have additional support at this upsloping trend line. Depending on when it gets into this level, could be $1.77, could be $1.79. If we're going to take a look at that, we're also going to look at additional support levels, which is a pivot top right at this $189. So the first buy level on PLUG is $2.33 with a secondary support levels at $189 and $179. This creates an extremely good buying opportunity, but it does have a potential of dropping 18%. So some maneuverability is going to be required if you're getting into PLUG. With all the positive news on BE and not as much positive news on PLUG, this could be a great opportunity for people to start exiting the BE trade and putting their money back into PLUG and catapulting this to the upside. Okay. Again, the RSI, if we can get this down to $2.33 and the RSI still fails to continue back up towards the 50, this could be a stop out on a daily closing basis with a re-entry if price is going to continue lower. Ultimately, this would be the fourth hit of this upsloping trend line, but still it's a long-term upsloping trend line. So it does provide you a lot of support with resistance or taking profits right at $3.34. At least that's what I would be looking for. You've got this previous pivot high and this price consolidation before price action got below it. So that's going to be met with resistance once it gets back to that level. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me. Tomorrow, I'm going to go over, tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm going to go over a couple other stocks that I'm looking at. I'm going to go over the relative strength index again. So if you don't know anything about the RSI, please dive into it. Google search what RSI is, and then I'm going to give you a play-by-play on what I'm looking at in the RSI and the charts to give you the best possible setups for trading the following day. So thanks again. We'll see you guys next time in the charts. Take care.